Hello, hello. Happy book club, happy book club, happy Wednesday. How are y'all today? Howdy, howdy. Although I don't hear as many howdies these days. I'm not in Texas anymore. Hello. Hello, hello. I'm so excited to talk about Cold Fire. Welcome, welcome. As always, I'm going to wait a minute or so, but I love. How are y'all doing today? This was a doozy. I need to start reading these well before Wednesday. It's just been a wild week for me settling into a new state, and so I didn't get the chance to really read it. I read a chapter and then had to put it on pause for a little while, so I finished it all today in one sitting. Cannot wait. Cannot wait to dig into this. There's a lot going on with this. So much going on with this. I have so many questions. I again ran out of my stickies. I need to go out and get more of them. Hello, welcome all. I'm so excited for all to be here. We're going to talk about Cold Fire for the first half, and then we're going to talk about all things Tamora Pierce for the second half. I have chopped out more time today than I usually do, so it won't give me a notification about the live for about an hour and a half. So if we wanted to have a little bit of an extended discussion, I have some really good questions that I think might bridge us between Circle Opens and then all things Tamora Pierce. And so, hello, hello. Welcome all. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for Cold Fire. I have so much to say about this. But I'm wondering what people's impressions were about Cold Fire. What were your first impressions? For me, the Discord knows this, but Ben, I saw you. I saw you so early. I have it in my notes. Did not trust him, did not like it. This one was different for you. I'm wondering why. This one felt different for me too. And I think, like I said, I have questions that I think are good bridges between the specific Cold Fire discussion and discussions all things Tamora Pierce. And for me, the reason why I think it was so different is that bridge question. So I'm really glad other people are feeling that too. Yeah, Ben was a creep from the beginning. Didn't like him. Also, for me, it was the way Daja reacted to him. I don't feel like she is a hero worshiper in any way, shape, or form. And for her to have such a strong reaction to him, I knew he was up to no good. You saw him super early, but let yourself like him. That's fair. He seems like he's very likable. In my head, here, and I do not condone this author at all, but the image in my head was of Gilderoy Lockhart in the movies. That was just what I thought about for him. What my brain thinks is not always canon for actual description or lookalike, but the vibes he was giving off were really that duality of like such an extensive mask being put on. Didn't work for me at all. Daja was might be your favorite. So glad to be back with her. Ben does come off with sympathetic. I love Daja. I really love Daja. I really love this book. I think it might be one of it's in my top 3 so far of what we've read so far in the Circle of Magic. All of it. This book might be in my top 3. Yes, Daja just trusted and liked him so much. Because again, she's 14. She's 14 years old. She hasn't really gotten it there. The cover scene, yes. This is a really good cover. I really do like the cover. For this one, I love the detail. I also love the actual book. We talked about this a little bit last week, but the hardback version of it is great because we get our map. Fabulous. I'm coming back into these comments. You can tell how young Daja is when she interacts with Ben. Agreed. And he mentions it too. That was another thing. It's just there's such a power dynamic there. And then the moment that you have something from Ben's point of view, you see that power dynamic in his eyes is flipped, even though it's not. It's just he calls her a goddess. Like, it's so both and so bizarre. I think Tamora Pierce is a phenomenal author for it. You forgot how creepy Ben was, especially the section when he was talking about how attractive. Right. Ben was creepy. Ben was so creepy. They are so young, and they're teaching young ones. You totally forgot it was Wednesday until you went on the Discord. You saw the event was like, thank all to our deities of the Discord who keep that together, who set that up, who have the reminders. They worked. We love it. Thank you for sharing the Discord. If you enjoy book club, or if you enjoy Tamora Pierce, we have an awesome Discord going. We would love to have you over there. He sees her magic and covets it. That's a really important point about Ben, is he sees her magic, he covets it in a very interesting way that I think you watch unfold chapter by chapter. You see the different levels of it. You see envy, you see you have so many different levels to it. Why do the circle villains have to be so creepy? He was creepy. He was very creepy. And I think so much of that has to do with us knowing. That's one thing Tamora Pierce has done in so many of these. I feel like a lot of other authors would have saved that twist for later on. But the way that both of the stories unfold at the same time is really clever storytelling. You almost forgot it was book club day 2. It's all right. It is Wednesday. I almost forgot it was book club day 2. Yesterday. I thought book club day was yesterday. But I'm glad we're all here together. You love how Daja was teaching... Oop, I'm losing comments. I love how... There's so many comments. You love how Daja was teaching meditation and learning to skate from them also. One of my notes is how much I loved Daja learning to skate. She struggles with it the whole book. There's not just one montage that makes her a great skater. And she's still not a great skater at the end. These stories are so important to the people in my family. Thanks so much for creating content for it. Oh, you're so welcome, Mia. I love you. I did the same thing yesterday I'm not used to being off on Tuesday. We are all just... One of the things, relating all of that back to the books, one of the things I loved about this book is that we have a calendar. We get a calendar in this book in the notes at the end, at least in my version of it. And it explains the moon days, the holidays, the whole system. And this, if you are an author and you have anything, if you think it's in the background, no one will care about a note. No one will care about the weird calendar system that the characters only mention a few times. We do. I do. I care. Thank you, Tamora Pierce, for including it in this edition. I'm digging back into these comments. Let's see here. You really see his descent into madness. Yes, you do. You see it little by little, and you see his story unfolding too. So you don't just see him descending into madness, but you slowly are revealing why. And so you have these two parallel storylines that one's in the past, one's present, and they unfold together. I think it's really, really done brilliantly. You think for Daja, she never truly had to protect herself in that way before. I agree. I think that there's been, and they mentioned this a couple of times, the way that Frostpine has intervened or just come through. I think Daja saw a lot of personal up-close family trauma with adults very early on. In my notes, I made a mention about how there's so much early on in the book about Daja trying to gain the approval, or really focusing on the approval of adults. And I think that does play out with Ben too, in a certain way. And it all comes back to her life as a traitor beforehand. But I think she's also been so protected at Winding Circle, and the adults that she has interacted with since then have all really been trustworthy. Slightly off topic, but you finished Mastiff last night and you're not okay. Oh no! Bring that up in the second half. I would love to talk about it. Because Mastiff is, oof. You're really sad last night when you thought you missed book club and laughed at yourself. It must have been something in the air if we all thought book club was yesterday. As a writer, you plan on building a pantheon and calendar for a book you're planning. Yes, that is, I love hearing that. I love a chart. If you have read When the Moon Hatches, the first portion of it, I don't have it with this set of books, but the first several pages of it are just index of things that you'll want to know, and it's very intimidating, and it might turn some readers away, but personally, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Tammy made Ben sympathetic enough for his family and mother that you can hate him and still feel bad for him. I agree. I really, really agree. There are so many different layers to him. The whole time I was thinking, Tamora Pierce does so well with both and, creating characters who are both and. Really helps you get into when you get into Daja perspective, in your opinion. Yeah, I think it does. You see the juxtaposition. You also see the different kinds of, they talked about friendship, but also fascination. The way I thought Tamora Pierce really, not necessarily experimented, but had a very different style of writing when she wrote from Ben's perspective. It was so much more lyrical. It was so much more internal, and it just vastly different, and it made sense in that way. But I thought it was different from what she usually does. The abusive mother was tough to chew through. Yes, it was. I kept waiting for a redemption arc for her, and I'm glad she did not get one. I don't necessarily agree with her outcome at all. I'm not in agree with it. In a storytelling way, I thought her ending was really beautiful, but I just kept waiting for that redemption piece. I kept thinking, oh, there's just something I don't know about her. But no, she was just a monstrous woman. And people are complex. And that's what I'm saying about Tamora Pierce being such a good author of writing people who are both and. Because people are both and. There are people who are terrible mothers, terrible to staff, and also have a soft spot in their heart for children across the block. Is your favorite Circle Opens book? It's one of my top 2 books of the series we read so far. It's been so, so, so good. Daja was the only to grow up with her parents, right? I think so. Because Triss was sent away, Briars, no. And Sandry, I think she did for a while, and then her parents died. You think that a big thing in the Circle Opens book, now that they're not as protected by discipline, I agree with that. I really, Sandry did too until the plague. The mother was so mean to him and her servants, but kind to the twins. Both and. I think people really can be both and. People are just as bad to be evil, though. It makes sense that he had bad stuff happen to him. I agree. And also, I think I want to thank people who send roses and do all of the TikTok things. I have no idea what those things mean, but I really appreciate when they happened, and I think it's a great, fun, accessible way to be like, oh, hey, I'm here, and enjoying everything. And so I don't always comment on it because I have no idea what it is, but I love and appreciate it, so thank you. Let's see. You mean a few people are just bad to be evil, though. It makes sense that he had bad stuff happen to him. I think it's always a both and I think we've seen it across some of the villains, quote unquote, throughout all of Tamora Pierce's series, is this idea of what actually makes something evil. And something that I think really is touched upon in this book is what makes someone mad. What is insanity? How do you deal with grief? I had 2 unexpected welling up almost tears happen twice in this, and that happened in Briar's book, but not really much in the other. This got me twice, and I think it has to do with just personal history, but the way that it's all written, I think this book is written differently than the books that we've seen so far. I'm going to go back in through the comments. I love that everyone is so active about this. This is fantastic. Daja wasn't in the Forged as much. You missed the words. I know how to speak them. Daja wasn't in the Forge as much. You missed the blacksmithing and the non-magic metal. I agree with you. That was something I thought throughout this, was just I wish we had more Forge time. But I think... No. I think I'm just going to sit with you on that. I tried on that idea and decided no. I would have loved to have seen her in the Forge a little bit more. Let's see, the scene where Daja, ooh, as soon as I start to read a comment, it disappears. The scene where Daja relives being the metal furnace handle was a lot. Still love how she writes the ambient magic. I agree. There were so many moments where I do have a couple of questions about the ambient magic, though, if y'all indulge. And I know there has to be a practical reason for all of this. So one of the big ones being, what is that line between the carpentry magic? It was discussed a little bit before. The carpentry magic, cooking magic, and then plant magic. Because it's all ambient magic, but it just seems like it's stronger with plants. But it makes me question that point of life. Because we know that briar can work with wood, but it doesn't seem like the wood carpentry can work with plants. So it's just a very interesting, I love it. Which scenes got me? Okay. There were two. The first one being when Daja, where is it? It's in my notes. 187, if you are in the hardback of this edition. The page was 187, and it's where Daja prays to the traitor and the bookkeeper, and then to the spirits of her family, lighting incense so they will know she still remembers them. Among traitors, to be forgotten was one final death. Memory and this was the part. Memory lasted when the flesh was gone. Daja would make sure that her children, if she had any, would say the prayers for each member of the fifth ship of Kisugo. When she was remembering her parents, that one, it just hit me. I love the way that the traitors and Daja have approached death, have approached grief. She's just been really fantastic with the layers. Tamora Pierce is really fantastic with the layers of grief and the way it shows up, and it's not something that was just dropped. It's been years, and Daja still thinks of her family, and that got me. And then the second one being, the nursery. Y'all, the nursery. When she's in the nursery, I don't even need this for this. When she is in the nursery and she thinks she can't do it without her friends, and so there's a line, she says, I cannot do this on my own, and then she thinks about all of her friends and what she would need from them, and then she says, but I don't have them, I just have me, and I must be enough. It got me. Because Daja is enough. So yes, those were the two big ones. So I'm going to catch on to comments. I loved how Daja made the magic mirror. It was so clever. I agree. It was so clever. And I loved the way that it shows up otherwise too, of the different ways that you can find the magic. You think there are ways to monetize the gifts you can get in live? I think there are. I'm told I make a couple of cents, $1 here and there. But we're in it for the fun. Let me catch. Oh, way more comments. Love it. Okay. Miss the forge, but love getting to see the cooking carpentry magic. I agree wholeheartedly. I love seeing the cooking and carpentry magic. I grew up in a generational woodworking household, and so I can see and smell and feel so many of the things that are in the workshop, and just the way that they describe the magic, the different inlays, the way that she has to make buttons over and over again, I thought was brilliant. I loved having the different kinds of magic around. But also Briar magical range has expanded, for lack of a better word. I don't know what you mean by that one. Circle back on that one. But Briar magically range has expanded, for the lack of a better word. I want to come back to that. Highlighted that part too, my dude. Daja and grief is so beautiful. Yes, I felt, particularly at the end, there's just so much grief that happens, and all of these books have turned very dark at the end. The nursery fire was a huge one. That was haunting, to say the very least, and how Daja continues to deal with it. I experienced a house fire myself, and the scene that I survived was part of, we got out with only the clothes I had on and ourselves. And then going back that next time to see the wreckage, that's something that if you haven't really been through that, it's so difficult to explain to somebody else. And I thought this did a decent job of explaining that, even though it wasn't Daja, it was more like almost revenge Daja, but it was very haunting and accurate. And so that part really stuck with me too. He can do stuff most plant mages would be able to do. Yes! I know what you're talking about now. Yes. Briar's range really has expanded, and I think that's what makes him one of the most powerful mages, is because he has that rare plant magic. And my question that I'm not articulating well at all comes down to this idea of magic is life, or Tamora Pierce has talked a lot, or in a lot of these it's talked about anything with life has magic, and I want to know how far that extends, particularly in a plant's life cycle. And so, yes, I think I just want to know more about magic and the ambient magic. I want to get deeper into it. I want to see how they all connect. Part of that is they were combined. The other thing is the way they were taught. Yes, absolutely. Those are two really good things to point out, that they had all of their magic combined. And they said they straightened it out. I miss them talking to each other. I wish we had a little bit more of this. I did feel like Daja thought a lot about her siblings in this, more than we've seen in the last two books. Think of ambient magic as needing their sources to work magic as opposed to spells and books. Yes. I think that's a really good way to think about it. Or, yes, that has been explained. And I do keep forgetting it. She wasn't going against the punishment, but didn't want to draw it out. Yes. Briar thinking outside. You'd like to think that Briar thinking outside the box helps too. I agree with that. I think there's a lot of thinking outside the box. And as mentioned, just a couple of comments above, it also has to, I think, that also comes with their individualized background and not being trained super early on and having just a different education. Potcracker is an awesome character. Yes. And Daja's Scarecrow, man. Happy to get more Scarecrow Man. Yes, thank you for sharing the Discord. Briar thought a lot about the girls too. I agree with that. He did. I think I just missed them. I miss everybody together. There were a couple of other things. Let's see. Ooh, yeah, the nursery scene was huge. I love debt settling Daja. I loved debt settling Daja. That was phenomenal. Yes, the gods may keep the books, but sometimes they need someone else to enact some justice. And there were so many questions about justice in this. A couple of the big themes that I pulled out were themes around justice, bravery, and mental illness. Not mental health, but mental illness. The bonds between each other, feeling shift in the writing. This book was also one of the books. More of Tammy's righteous anger. Yes, absolutely. You miss the four of them together is very much feeling like I do. Yeah, there's tons of righteous angers to this. If they all come together again, it will be so satisfying. I think they come together eventually. We have Triss's book, and then I think they come together. Her creation being used so sinisterly was awful. One thing that does interest me, and it lines up with Lady Night too, because she was writing Lady Night from Cal's Protector of the Small around the same time, and it was also around when 9/11 happened, and she dedicates this book to the firefighters, police officers, first responders, and I think there are elements that show up. She's talked about how that event, 9/11, has shaped and not shaped her writing at the time, and I could see that in this. She's talked about how she's had these stories kind of mapped out, but the feelings, the writing, the different details helped really define it. And I wonder if other people saw that in there as well. Let me go through some of these comments. Daja being her most grumpy, grumbly self when Frostpine was like, you found them, you teach me. I know! But I think that's totally fair. That's one gripe I have with everything, is that was not something everybody knew. But I've been doing a little tiny bit of research into Tamora Pierce's, like, interviews and talking about things, and it seems, from what I understand, the circle opens is because she started getting so many emails from fans wanting that quartet to continue, wanting more stories about the four of them. I think it's even in the about the author. Yes, she began the new quartet at the urging of many readers who encouraged her through letters and emails to explore the mages' lives further. So these are thanks to fans. And so once I learned that, I was like, oh, okay, that little loophole about them not knowing they would have to teach, I'll forgive. Makes you think that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Yes. Tamora Pierce does righteous anger so well. And she does it each in line with the character, so you see different ways that pans out. Whether it be Dane leveling a palace with some necromancy dinosaur skeletons, or summoning goddess, or facing down death itself. You see it in so many different ways. Frostpine bundled in blankets and looking like an owl. Yes. I love that they just made Frostpine cold all of the time and then gave him shit for choosing a name Frostpine. I love that he had to say, like, I didn't understand that it got this cold. You feel like Daja and Sandry... Daja and Sandry's discuss more about justice more, especially who determines justice. Absolutely. And the different levels of it, too. Daja's really wrestling with, should this man die for his crimes, particularly in this way? And adding the level that she thought they were friends, and so many different levels. Frostpine is hilarious. You loved what we got to see of him. I agree, and I loved his little romance with the cook. That was so cute. That was perfect. You also like how the twins are their own character and not just one person split in two. I completely agree with that, too. And they didn't take it... Tamora Pierce didn't take it that step further, or not even step further, but she didn't make them exact opposites either. They had so much overlap, too, which made a lot of sense. But they still looked out for each other. It was really... I thought it was beautifully well done. But Tamora Pierce has written twins before. Frostpine and the Hearth was also so funny. Yes. There was a lot of burning away clothes in this. There was a lot of... Sandry's magic can only do so much in the face of a big old fire. Let's see. You follow someone who rates twins in media and you've been noticing it more recently? Oh, interesting. My first thought is I wonder if it has to do with IVF, but I think it's also a really great narrative device. And it shifted Daja's story just a little bit. And so it didn't have the exact same unfolding of, like, we find a young novice, we struggle to find a teacher, we do find a teacher and it's not the right one, so you still have to teach. So I think it gave Tamora Pierce a little bit of breathing room to make that same story we've seen twice already a little different. His past romance with the lady of the house. I loved that. It fills out his character. It makes their storyline rich. It's like, oh wait, these adults are adults. They've had a life before that hand. They know each other. It makes everything just seem deeper and more rich. And I love how you still get little bits of it throughout. So it wasn't until the end that you learn, oh wait, no, they very much told her, you're gonna be happier with this other person. Let's see a few more. Once Mother Nature gets rolling, no mage can stop it. Yes. And I can't wait. Speaking of Mother Nature, woo, we have this next. You finally figured out who you're reminding me of today. I am channeling Miss Frizzle. You've made my life. Thank you. love that you said that because I debated between this and a Magic School Bus shirt today. So maybe next week it will be a Magic School Bus shirt. We are about halfway, so yes, let's talk about Shatterglass. This is next week's book. I am trying to figure out how we want to divide these larger books, because they start to get a little bit heftier, especially when we enter our Tortall era. So we'll think about that. Do we have a map? We do have a map. Love a map, love a map. I also love this cover. I know this is Chime. All I know about this is that this is Chime, and I cannot wait to meet Chime. That's all I know going into this. She's somewhere with Nico. She has Little Bear, whom I do not see on the cover, and if anything happens to Little Bear, I'm going to have personal beef with Tamora Pierce. I'm not going to be okay if anything happens to Little Bear. But I'm excited for Chime. Can't wait to see Triss again. Can't wait to see Nico again. And I can't wait to dig into this world. I can't wait to meet whomever Triss will be teaching. I can't wait to see Triss's teaching style. I think that'll be one of the biggest struggles for her. Patience is not her forte. And one thing I really loved in this was Daja's teaching style and the way that Daja adjusted, and I really love the passages. One of the passages I highlighted was around Daja talking about her debt to her teachers. And also thinking about her teachers as humans at a different part. She was like, what did my teachers have to put on hold in order to do well with me? And so this was big. Says, thank you for dropping the Discord again in the comments. If you enjoy book club, if you enjoy Tamora Pierce, come join our Discord. We have a great time. Shatterglass continues the trend of getting darker. Shatterglass is your favorite of the quartet. Darker. We get darker than the nursery scene. We get darker than that fire. We get darker than the hospital fire. But there are so many fun colors on the cover. Oh, okay. Zane plus Triss is your fave. Okay. I'm really excited to get to know Triss more. It's been so long since she's been in one of the books. I really can't wait to get back on her again. And you're trying to post the maps on the Discord for reference. Thank you. Thank you. I do see that. I so appreciate it. There is a channel in our Discord that has all of the maps because, as we've discovered, not all of the editions of the Circle Opens books have the maps. And so if you're a map nerd like me, you can find them there too. They're also on the internet, but come hang out with us. Let's see. You enjoy Shatterglass, but Sandry and Daja are your favorites. Are we going to read Will of the Empress or Battle Magic after Shatterglass? That has been one of the big questions. I'm willing to hear arguments both ways. I was thinking Will of the Empress, but I'm willing to hear other things. True crime and glass blowing equal a great time. Love glass blowing. Can't wait for that. Dark in a slightly different way. Okay. Darker than Sandry exploding people. Okay. That does. There's a range here. Curious. Very curious. Shatterglass. Consider the wind. To me, not darker, just a different kind of dark. Okay. I really don't mind dark. I read dark stuff when I'm not reading this. So I really don't mind. It's just not what I expect from Tamora Pierce, which is fantastic. I love not knowing where the story is going. In a new magnet and a new magic. Okay, what Ash said. You agree? All right. I'm excited for it. Battle Magic is the first chronologically. Ooh. Are the next 3 books not in direct sequel order? Battle Magic is definitely darker, though. Okay. I don't say a lot in the Discord Gerber, you don't say a lot in the Discord server, but you appreciate lurking. I appreciate you lurking. I'm learning not to be a lurker. I'm trying to be more involved with it, but the Discord is my first real, like, online community with other people, and so I'm trying to figure out how to participate in that well. My brother is a semi-professional video game player, and so he's always on Discord or Twitch or something, and so this is a whole new thing for me, and I appreciate everyone's patience with me on it. I'm really enjoying it. Okay, so let's see about... Battle Magic is the only MLN book that I haven't read before, so which is best. You kind of think chronological order would be good. You're not too good on the gory stuff, so nothing is going to be darker than that. You're always happy to interact, but learning curve... There's a huge learning curve. Okay, Will of the Empress came out first. It will change how the reader sees them come together. Okay. It has vague references to what occurs in Battle Magic, though. This is a big debate, it seems, about... I'm going to pull them. If we're doing Battle Magic or Will of the Empress after Shatterglass. Maybe we'll do a poll in the Discord. Usually, I will say, to put my 2 cents in, I'm open to either, but to put my 2 cents in, I generally do publication order first when I'm reading a series, and I did with these, if we want to count it. It's been a very long time, but I generally follow publication order first, and then I'll do a chronological reread, but I haven't done that for Tortall, so we're going to do that for Tortall. But I would love to do a poll on the Discord server for this, and because I trust you all. I'm just here as a vessel for things Tamora Pierce. There's so many people who know so much more about this than I do, and so please, please, please join the Discord. We'll set up a poll for those. I'm going to catch up on some of these comments, and then I really do think we should transition to all things Tamora Pierce. Big references. Okay, you think you read Battle Magic first, but it really depends. You know, Fable has them listed, Will of the Empress number 1 and Battle Magic as number 3. Feel like Will of the Empress makes more sense after Battle Magic. According to the wiki, Battle Magic is a prequel to Empress and Melting Stones. Will of the Empress is your favorite in this series. I've heard so much about Will of the Empress in particular. I'm really excited for it. As far as I know, I think this is the one where they all come back together. And as we know, I can't wait for that, even though I complained for so long about them being all together and wanting time alone. I'm eating my words. And I want them back. So that's okay. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. So we will hang out. We'll do a poll. We'll do this. And then one of the ways I'm thinking about doing book club is keeping this time for the one book club, but spending the whole hour on it. There are a couple of ways for us to break up these bigger books, and so hop on the Discord channel so you have a say. I have a couple of ideas that I would love to run past the people in the Discord, because they're a great group. And so thank you. You're gonna make a poll in the Discord. I so appreciate that. I'll lay out, poll in the Discord for what order we're gonna do it, and then I'll stick in there thoughts about what we're going to do for splitting the time up, because there are some options. But I want to open this up to all things Tamora Pierce. All things Tamora Pierce. I have a couple of questions or just thoughts or ideas to throw out there, but I would love if anybody had anything particular they came to book club with that they were just aching to talk about. You're excited to message a tattoo artist in a month or two to schedule your faithful lightning tattoo? That's so exciting. I'm excited for you. I hope you'll share a photo once it's finished. Love seeing Tamora Pierce tattoos. I'm going to get mine eventually. Tammy's evolution as a writer and ally over the years. I think that's a really great topic. Tammy's evolution of the writer as a writer and ally over the years. I think those are two different and same questions. I'm always going to say both and. My answer is always going to be both and. And so Tammy's evolution as a writer, I think there are a lot of different parts to discuss of that, whether it is her experimenting with different types of writing. We've talked before about the experimenting with like murder mysteries and true crime to, I think this, she really experiments with lyrical writing. And just, there are a lot of prose, it felt like, particularly when it was from Ben's point of view. I thought it was really interesting to play with that. Or I think when we're talking about her evolution as a writer, we can talk about the ideas that she plays with in one book and then really fleshes out in another, like the counterfeiting that we see very briefly ish with Frostpine in this book, and then she really dives into it in Bloodhound. And we've seen that a couple of other times, so I think there's that evolution in writing, but I think this question is really getting at this question of her as an ally in her writing over the years. It's come up a couple of times in the comments on some of the videos, and I'm curious, what do people think about her evolution as an ally and a writer throughout time? You love her representation of various sexualities and presentations as well as disability. I agree. I think she does a really great job of, particularly for the time, and that's the big asterisk we have to place over all of this, is that for this era, she was a pioneer in so much of this. I think even today there are so many scenes, so many storylines, so much of this. I think even today there are so many scenes, so many storylines, so many approaches that hold. There's some, and I'm curious what other people think. I thought the disability portion of it, there were certain moments in Cold Fire that I wasn't thrilled about when it came to disability, particularly when it was combined with class. But in Daja's book, loved the representation of disability. So I always think there's a both and something I really admire about Tamora Pierce is that she wrestles with these questions. She tries to have a very human both and perspective, and she has changed over time. She is not afraid to talk about it. She said that she would write things differently now if she were writing those same things. And I do. I really think she learns and changes as an author. There's a scene in Alana, I always pronounce her name just a little wrong. I know she's my favorite. There's a scene in Alana that is not transferable, but later books she upstates the view that you have to remain what the gods made you. Yes. That, I think people called it that a lot. I think there's a moment in Cold Fire too that we talk, where she talks about eating disorders. And there's a line about making work what the gods gave you, but it's referenced in a different context. And so that's just one of those things where like the writing appears so similarly, but in these separate these separate contexts, and it makes the whole writing different. You love her history and how she started working in group home for girls, then inspired things. Yes, absolutely. She talks about that a lot. She still dedicates things to them. She still talks about them in a lot of her interviews, about how these young women were facing issues that were perceived as so much older than who they are. And it's one of the reasons why she set a lot of her stories in a medieval era, so she was able to excuse the fact that these young people were facing adult problems. And it was because she knew that there were young people facing adult problems. But the only way she felt like she was able to write about them and have editors and publishers publish them was putting it in this blanket medieval style setting. It's something she talks about a lot, and I think there's a part of me that's like, she did such a service to the bad girls. Like, not the bad girls. I do not mean that in that way, but in that, like, she did not write books out of this idea of what a girl could and should be, but rather from the experiences of the people around her. And that is one of the reasons I think I feel so represented in so many of her books. You love her history, yes. Love how beautifully Daja is described and how creepy it turns when you realize who's describing her. Yes, absolutely. I also have a question around Daja. I want to catch up on these comments, and then I have a question that does pertain to Cold Fire and Daja and those descriptions. especially since she's covered in things like PTSD and trauma, some of the Kel's stories on the Tortal side. Oh, I totally agree. She really digs in to trauma in so many different ways, and really discusses what it means. I think one of the big things for me was discussing not necessarily girlhood, but the idea of gender expectations and how that impacts who you are. I think she does it with Noat. I think she does it, of course, through her main leads, but just that exploration of how do you define self? How do you forge the self in lieu of all of this? You're trying to think of other times that she's done something like that. There probably are, yes. Rebels, let's see. Fabulous. One of the questions that I have, and this pertains to what you were talking about earlier with Daja, on I think 2 of the videos that I've made earlier, that automatic search bar at the bottom has pulled up the automatic search it recommends are white women books, or white women book talk. And I was like, ooh, I would love to talk a book club about, are these white women books? Why? Not just why, but I think it's always good to self-reflect, particularly, I think it's always good to reflect on media, particularly media that, if you're like me, you have built so much of yourself and personality around these books, this author. Representation is huge, and something Tamora Pierce has talked and lauded for across the board on so many different issues, particularly as we talked about disability, sexuality. But race is one that I know she struggles with throughout her whole career as a writer, and I think it's one area where she does really change how she writes. And I think it's just, it's part of a larger picture. So it was something I did want to bring to the group. Never considered it before, but yeah, they kind of are. She befriends, yes, like Dane. Yes, Dane is very stereotypical white girl befriending all the animals, talking about them all. I think it's an important question for us to engage in as a group. And also as an individual owner reading these things. It's been mentioned in my comments, something I've thought about a lot, the evolution from the Bazir that Alana talks about, that is in Alana's books, all the way through. We start seeing, they're talked about differently in Becca's books. So I do think we see an evolution. It was brought up in a comment earlier around the Yamani in Kel's books. So I think it's just, it's something I'm curious about, and of course it's part of something we read. We read lots of things. We need to supplement. But I did like the moments in it that talked about Daja braiding and rebraiding her hair. But I think this book would have been very different if it was written by a black woman. I think Briar's probably your favorite because he is brown, so it resonated with that. Absolutely. I think she writes a lot of diverse characters, and as you're talking about right here, does Tammy write POCs well? Not always. No. In your opinion, Alana, and the white savior trope with the, yes, I think white savior trope for sure. I think it's wrestled with in some of the other books very much as well, especially Allie's book. Like, Allie's book's a huge one. Like, I feel like Allie's book tries to actively wrestle with the white savior trope. They're pretty white-centric. Can be hard for white writers to write POC characters. I completely agree. I think that Tamora Pierce is also aware of that, and that doesn't prohibit her from writing them. I think she still tries. I think there's still this balance. And these intersections. I know there's more to Daja's story. I know. And I can't wait to see it unfold. And we saw little glimpses of it in here, but like, I cannot wait for Daja to find some love. But I wonder how it would be different. Let's see. Replicate that of POCs. You haven't read Allie's recently enough. We will be rereading it. I hope you'll be here for that. The discussion made you think of something I would love. Please jump on in. Because I do. This is my favorite part. As much as I love talking, of course, but I love the back and forth. I love hearing what other people think. This has been good. I'm gonna check some of my notes for that. Let's see. The other big question that I had for today for the all things Tamora Pierce discussion was around legacy. And she's leaving such a legacy in all of these different arenas, whether it be writing characters that resonate with trans communities, writing characters that resonate with military diplomat kids, that resonate with animal lovers or horse girls. There are all of these different aspects of her writing and legacies that she leaves. I think she's leaving one of the main ones being that she has changed throughout her writing. She's not afraid to confront any issues that she might have had in the writing, or how writing and culture have changed and her place within it. And one thing that Tamora Pierce has mentioned in her recent Owl Crate interview was that she hopes one of the legacies that she leaves is that other authors, she really talked about other authors in this, was around other authors being able to write stories and share their own stories, and that she hopes that she encourages bravery in writing those stories. And so, I was wondering about legacy, and if there were particular legacies that you think she's leaving, or if you're an author, if there's something that has influenced your writing or reading, what those pieces would be. And yes, the Ace fangirl, totally. Whatever this discussion is making you think of, please. I love it if you'd share too. And welcome to everyone who's joining. We've been having a great discussion about all things Tamora Pierce. The first half was Cold Fire. Next week we're going to start off with a discussion on Shatterglass, and then the second half is going to be all things Tamora Pierce, which is where we are now. We have a little while longer. You think that N.K. Johnson said that she was a Tamora Pierce fan? You might be misremembering. I don't know if I know that. Oh, and I can't Google it immediately. I will look up that name. Useless Goblin thing. Thank you. I will check that out. Oh, you love Shatterglass? Fantastic. I am so excited for Shatterglass. I'm so excited for Chime in particular. I feel like once I meet Chime, I can finally start doing a few more videos about animals that Tamora Pierce has written. Ooh, you remember Shatterglass being so good. Good. I'm so excited for it. Everyone seems to... I have not heard any ill will about Triss so far from people. People seem to really love Triss. And she's been so fantastic so far. I think I really would have related to her when I was younger. But like with each of these circle books, they are doing their job and helping me fall in love with each of the characters just a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And then it's going to be so satisfying when they come back together again. You definitely recommend her Broken Earth trilogy. Okay. Broken Earth. Note. I'll get the comments too, but I'm such an analog lady from time to time. That is another question. Once we do, because if you are not up to speed, we're doing all of the Tamora Pierce Circle of Magic series, because it's been forever and 3 days since I've read those. And so we're going to go through all of those, and then we're going to start reading Tortall in chronological order. And then I'm playing with the idea of doing other books after that for book club. There's just been so many great recommendations. And so I would love to maybe think about that trilogy. N.K. Jemisin. I'm writing it down. Jemisin. The name sounds familiar, but it might just be from my bookseller days. You should have taken notes. That's all right. That's all right. I'm such a note taker, and I have the little tabs. I ran out of tabs. I still have some of Triss's, but I have color-coded tabs. I need to get more. Thank you again for dropping the Discord server, the link for the Discord server. If you love Tamora Pierce, you love hanging out for book club, please come hang out in the Discord server. We have everything from like a training yard where we keep each other accountable for exercising things, to tattoo inspiration areas, to a meme page, to there's a spot for me to just like be like, help, I need help. And everyone's been so fantastic so far. You don't have a lot of notes for Cold Fire, nor quotes. I do have some quotes. I should add some quotes too. We have a whole channel that are just dedicated to quotes from these books. So I'll need to hop in there and add my quotes, because there were quite a few for me in here. But I think some of it was just very much in context. If you just read the quote out of context, they're not as powerful. Tamora Pierce does such a great job of having smaller sentences that build up to a larger story. But even things like, I love the fact that Daja liked that she's a big, strong girl. I love the little details through it all. Or do not borrow trouble. Do not borrow trouble. I thought that one was a cute one too. Let's see. Don't have a lot of quotes. Oh yeah, you dropped a Discord video. Shout out to the magpies. Yes! I appreciate, I'm trying to slip in things. Sometimes I have trouble filming because being perceived is hard sometimes. And it takes a lot for me to get myself to a place where I feel comfortable being on camera in any way, shape, or form and being perceived by people. And so while I might not always be able to hop on trends or things that people request in the Discord, this one was one I just could not escape. And so I appreciate everyone who has ideas, shares them. Please keep sharing in the Discord. I really am going to try to keep doing them. But like, being a human is hard sometimes. Yes, because people did accuse her of sleeping with adults like Tuesday. Yes, they did. Even Frostpine had, not from her not accusing her, but accusing others of thinking it was appropriate to approach her. Will Tortal go Becca, Numair, Alana? We have not completely finalized that order. Still thinking about it. The only hesitancy I have about shoving Numair in there is because Numair's story isn't finished yet. And I'm always just so attached to publication. No, I think Numair, I'm not going to talk out loud to think it through here, but I do think that that is a good idea, and it is something that we should talk about with the Discord. You're looking too much into it. That's okay. Look too much into it. That's the fun of these. That's the fun of it. Look too much into it. Daja talking about the black ship. Love the Trader. Yes. Oh, love the idea of the black ship. I think we learned a lot more about Odie Bookkeeper and her mate in this. Oh, it's gorgeous. You feel like it was more implied than directly stated. Yes. They danced around the fact. Being human is hard most of the time. I agree. It is. Being human is hard sometimes. I feel like Noah way more than I care to share. Because it's just, sometimes you just need to take a perspective and just think about yourself as human first. Publication's so good. The reason why we're doing it in chronological order is because I have not. And I've heard that it completely changes the experience, particularly from Becca's books, for Becca's books. And Becca's books are the books that I struggle with the most in my reread, and I've reread the least frequently because I usually end up reading them at the end, and so that jarring shift of just the writing style, the everything is at the end, and it's not the way that I think I want to close the story. So we're going to try it chronologically. But I have always read it publication-wise. Very noir. Very noir. You would have taken notes. You could have taken notes. You had reference points. Yeah. You think, not you going, I think I saw a thing. Ditto, if you're being honest, now that you think about it. Yes. It's just, it is what it is. I'm so excited for this. I'm very excited to finish out Circle of Magic. This has been so much fun. These books are so different from Tortall and yet so similar. I can tell that they're by the same author. I've loved learning about these characters and digging more into their lives. I cannot wait for Shatterglass. Chime. Do not let me down, Chime. Do not let me down. You have Becca's book on your phone and change the font to script with a parchment. You can get that parchment background. That's great. That's such a great idea. I mean, they're their own books. I'm excited to talk about them with other people. I'm really excited to dig into them. There's so many parts of it that I loved. It was the diary for me. I love a couple of diary entries, but it was just such a jarring difference in the writing style from all the rest of them. Which magic, if either, do you enjoy more? Ooh, this is a good question. At this point, I don't feel like I know enough about the just regular old magic. In the Circle of Magic series, we know a lot about the ambient magic, which I love. That's fantastic. But I don't know as much about just your day-to-day magic and how that goes around. I would like to see more of them as mages rather than students and mages, and I think we're really going to get that in, I'm hoping, Will of the Empress. But so I really like the specificity. I think there are the different kinds, and you can be good at different kinds of magic in Tortall, but the ambient magic specificity is really a lot of fun and really cool to think about. I don't know which one I would prefer to live in. I think ambient magic would be really cool, though. Let's see, I'm going back through here. Like Emmeline for magic, and my phone and everything else also automatically corrects to Tortall to tortillas. Tortillas. For creatures and gods. I love how you love how she describes chimes, sound, and how she catches the light. You reread them 2 years ago. Oh, fantastic. I also like how Tortall's magic is colored. It's really handy, especially if you have the site, you can see it. I think it also helps with just overall, not brand identity, but when I think of Alana, I think of red and purple. So handy. Tortall, not tortillas, yeah. Probably Emmeline for magic specifically, but Tortall overall, yes. I agree. I think partially, though, I think I just know them better, and so I choose them more frequently. So I trying to balance that in my brain, take it all with a grain of salt. Kingdom of Tortillas! Yes, the Kingdom of Tortillas. Tortilla magic would be something to see. I would love to see that. Kitchen. I think you could have some fire. I love it when when you can do something really unexpected with it. You wonder if Tortall has ambient magic as well. I think that's a really good question. I have a headcanon that they're actually connected worlds, and Frostpine, when he was out dealing with the counterfeiter, somebody escaped. That's how he got Bloodhound. They're just different times. Well, I haven't thought it out. It's just there. Delicious. There should be a food mage. Yes. I would love a food mage. Didn't not Sandry. Oh, what is her name? Numair's. The woman from Numair's story that stayed in Carthag, who is really skilled in presentations and cooking. I think that could be an example of that. Red, purple, and gold Furlon, I agree. Would Tortall's ambient magic be the wild magic since it's in all living things? I'm going to need to sit and ponder on that. That's a good thing. But she doesn't do the plant magic. And that also goes back to that question of what is alive? What is living? What is that? Where is that point? I think these are all such good points. This is exactly the kind of discussion these are for. I love it. I agree. I think wild magic is probably an offshoot of ambient magic. You also think they're connected? We need to connect on this and do our... I think they are connected. I want them to be connected. Dane just got an extra boost. Oh, a Varys. Yes, that is the name. That is her name. And they call her Varys or whatever. Yes. Varys, yes. However it's pronounced. Varys, yes. Fantastic. Thank you all. Your headcanon is that they're separate continents. Love it. Love it. I'm so glad I'm not the only one who has these connected in their head. Is that the same woman we meet in Dane's book? Yes, it is. It's the same woman. And I think she shows up in the, I know she shows up in the Tempest and Slaughter. Her ambient magic would just be with animals like Briars is with plants. Absolutely. I see it. There are mages who can talk to certain animals, and Dane being able to talk to them is a rarity. Yes. Oh, and the time difference. Hello, fabulous. Oh, I so agree with you. I think that's a really good thought. That's a really good thought about all of the different kinds of magic and different theories. I am all in for different theories. If you have theories about how they're connected, or if you just have any wild theories at all about any of the series, please let me know. She's part of one of your favorite quotes from Emperor Mage. Ooh, which one is that one? The Constellation Cat is around today. He's napping hard right now and would be very sassy if I woke him up. But we'll see if he wakes up in a couple by the end. He's been very cuddly today. It's been a wonderful, wonderful time. Fantastic. So I'd love, yes, if you have that Emperor Mage quote, please share. Otherwise, oh, but that's just a theory, a Tortall theory. I'm gonna grab this cat, he's gonna hate me. So be prepared. Kitty's coming. It's when Dane smells Reese's perfume, makes a comment to Alana about her. Yes! You're so right. Meow. Meow. Can I grab you? He's pissed. I know. He's mad. I know. Yes, hello, faithful. He loves book club. Like most animals in my life, they enjoy being just a little bit away. Nobody likes being picked up from a nap and displayed to the world. So I get it. Do we have any last things for the end of book club this week? I know I'm gonna grab a little bit of dinner, but then I'm gonna hop on the Discord to eat. And so I'll be on Discord here soon. Faithful when Laura does something stupid. Yeah, that's very, very accurate. Since a lot of mages in Tortallverse can enhance magic, do they have more ambient magic? Ooh, I can't wait for the second half of that. Instead of being specialized. I like that a lot. But we also see that instead of being specialized. I think that that's a really good... That feeds into the theory. That it's all connected. I'm all about that. I'm going to keep thinking about that all night long. Particularly, I feel like we just see so many powered objects in the Tortallverse, and not quite as many, it feels like. I'm just saying that kind of off the cuff. For the circle, but the ones that we do see are incredibly powerful. And the whole story revolves around them. And so, no, that's not even true, because I'm thinking about all of the little things that have been spelled in the background. So that would just be I'm going to keep thinking about that. You brought up so many wonderful points this week. Loving it. This is the kind of discussion I've been craving to have about these books. These kinds of, like, deeper thoughts, connections. So I'm so appreciative to everyone who's been coming to book club and sharing and joining these TikTok. After I end one of these, they're always like, you've had so many comments. You've had more comments than 99% of lives this size. I'm like, that's because the people who join my live are the best, and they want to talk about Tamora Pierce. A meerkat. You had a black cat once that you named Midnight. Oh, that's a perfect name. Your cat has been asleep in your arm for the past hour. Typing is difficult. Oh, that's so cute, though. Started being specialized. Thank you again for throwing the Discord in the chat. The link's in the chat. It's also in the bio. Plus, we only focus on ambient magic in the Emmeline books and not at the university magic. I want those books about the university magic. I want them because I think that would answer so many of the questions. I also would love more of a chance to learn about the different gods, the pantheon of gods, how they involved in each of their lives. The gods are very, very involved in Tortall, and they just don't... They feel very distant here, I think. Daja is one of the ones... Daja has been the one who really invokes them the most. And so I'm very, very curious about how that all works out. Because it doesn't feel like they're not religious. Religion still seems to be such a huge part of the Circle of Magic series, but the gods just seem a lot more distant than they do in Tortall. Daja's respect for her adopted family's gods while not losing her own faith. Yes, I have highlighted sections of that because I love my personal life philosophy. The thing I say over and over again, and one of the reasons I love Tamora Pierce the most is she does so well with the idea of both and. That you can hold two things at the same time and they can be true. And so Daja can pay respects to her adopted family's gods and stay true to herself. Alana can be a woman and a warrior. Ben can think of himself as a hero and be a shitty person. Or Daja can be friends with him and he can still be a shitty person. So I think that just those ideas of both and Tamora Pierce does such a good job with. And it's really influenced my own thinking. Tris is supposed to go to university, but we haven't gotten that book yet. I don't know if we will get that book. And I choose to see that as an opening for fanfic authors and the community to fill in some blanks. You remember Briar thinking about how he doesn't want to call on since he was aware that some of them were the tricksters, like calling on the trickster gods. You don't really necessarily want to do that. I think Daja does that too in here. There's a moment where she's like, oh, I don't want to piss off the trickster gods. And we see that with Cryptoth too. You don't want to piss off trickster gods. In pretty much any culture in background, the trickster gods are the ones you don't... Healthy respect from a distance is ideal. Is absolutely ideal. Fantastic. All right, y'all. Do we have anything else for book club today? I've been loving this. I'm going to talk to the Discord about not just the Order of Will of the Empress Battle Magic. We'll have a pull on that. But I've been thinking about for these larger books, instead of trying to power through a whole book in a week, I want to try to accomplish two things. I want to build a space where we can talk more about Tamora Pierce and a space where we can talk more about these books. And so I've been thinking about either adding a live once a week or alternating what we're talking about each Wednesday. So one Wednesday would be just talking about the full book, but then the next week would be just talking about all things Tamora Pierce. And that way we would have 2 weeks to read a book, and we would still get those periods of time. So it's something I want to bring up with the Discord group, see what they're all thinking. But I also know that another time would give some people who aren't able to join this live another opportunity. Utilizing the voice chat in the Discord, I will try to figure that out. I'm working on it. I love being part of the community, so I'm going to try to do that more, but it is big scary for me. So I'm so thankful for everyone and their patience. Alternating would give time for the bigger books. Yes, I completely agree. So that's what I'm leaning towards at this point, and that way we have time for those bigger discussions too, because I don't like breaking up books in the middle of book club, because there are things that all connect and I want to be able to talk about it without spoiling anything. And so I don't necessarily want to just talk about half a book. I want to be able to talk about all of it. So I am leaning towards the alternating every other week, but I know communication can be tricky around that. And so I would also love to hear what other books people think too. Oh, I finally convinced you to join Discord. This group convinced me to join Discord. I'm learning. I feel like I live with I used to live with an expert with my brother, and now I'm fumbling around on my own. And it's also, there's only a certain amount of technology time I can handle in a day, whether that is editing videos or filming or doing lives or Discord or emails, all sorts of things. I have a finite limit. And when I hit that limit, I'm done for the day. So I want to fold Discord into an earlier part of my routine, checking all of my technology. Yeah, like you were glued to a computer and your phone. I absolutely was, and I spent years and years and years, especially when I was doing a lot more communications work, or I was on my phone and computer constantly. I always had 2-3 screens in front of me, and I tried to really take an intentional step back and read instead, and then I got sucked into reading. I've read 182 books this year. I cannot half-ass anything. So I've been thankful that making these things has really got me going a little bit more. The move is great. The job was not. They gave it to somebody with less experience. They wanted somebody who had less experience. So pleased that they drug me along for weeks. It's all right. I'm looking at other things. I'm excited to be in a new location. I have a huge community here that I'm really thankful to be a part of, and plenty of dogs and roaming around. So overall, I'm still in a much better position than I was, but it's just another one. It's all right. I appreciate that. It's a fresh start to experience. This is what I do. I have restarted my life over and over again. I hope to continue doing so. At least a few more times. There's so much of the world to experience. Now is just not a good time to be looking for a job in global health or international human rights or any sort of gender and disability. It's just not an ideal time for that. So everything is a bit of a struggle. I also have a huge mismatch of education and experiences. My education level does not really reflect the experience that I've had. I've clawed my way into positions that are usually handed out to people with higher educational levels than I have. And so I knew it was going to be a struggle from the start, but I appreciate everybody checking in and being patient with me, because it really is chaotic. I'm standing amongst boxes and bags. I have a home base, but I'm bouncing between a bunch of spots. And so I really love everyone's patience. No, you're right. Yeah, it's not the ideal time to really be digging into global health and human rights. And since I'm not in DC anymore, it's a really tricky to an extra degree, because DC is such a, not what you know, but who you know, and being able to network, and I'm just not there to do that right now. And so I'm looking at smaller nonprofits in the area, and I'm just honestly, I'm just excited to be back a part of my community. I went to school a few hours away from here, and so many people from my college moved to this area, and so I have a massive community of people here who have already said welcome back with wide open arms, and I'm just so thankful to be here with people that I love. And so I feel like this is just an extension of the amazing community that we're building here on TikTok and on Discord. I feel like I'm part of the world again for the first time in a few years. Midwest, I'm from the Midwest, but I'm in the Southwest right now. I've lived all over. I've lived in Hawaii, Illinois, DC, Canada, Kenya, Texas, Arizona. I think that's it for living. But I love picking up and moving across the country. I really do. I absolutely love it. And so eventually I'm sure I'll want some more stability in my life. But there's so much of the world for me to see and explore and do and love. And I have chosen to center my friendships in my life. And I think that's one of the reasons why this series has really, and Tamora Pierce overall, but this series has really been impactful for me, is the focus on friendships and the focus on the camaraderie, and not just the building yourself, but building yourself in relationship to other people and how your friends are there for you. I literally had a best friend recognize that I needed help and drove across the country, put my stuff in their car, and say, you're going to come live with me until we can figure this out together. And so just the idea that there are narrative examples that reflect my everyday life, even at this point, is incredible to me. You restarted your life 5 years ago today. Things will even out. They always do. Things will even out. And if not, I will pave it. Like, I am writing my story, and I want to make sure that it's an interesting one. At least for me. Love the Southwest. Stay cool. It's hot. It's so hot. I have completely rechanged my schedule, and so I am working out 5 o'clock in the morning. It is, woo, so sweet. I am so thankful for everybody in this group, in the Discord, continuing to love on the TikTok. I honestly have so much fun making those videos when I finally, the biggest hurdle for me is just gathering myself to a point where I feel comfortable on camera. Body dysmorphia sucks. And so I'm grateful that there's a community that doesn't seem to care as much what I look like, but more that we all just want to talk about our favorite books together. And so I just need to keep getting over that over and over again in my head. But I love making these videos, and I love being in community with everyone. At least it's not humid. I agree. I was just in Texas, and before that in DC, where it's a swamp. And I do like the dry heat. I do love the dry heat. My skin's still figuring it out, but I do love the dry heat. You're an inspiration. Anyone who gets on camera is. Thank you. I just wanted to see, I was so sick and tired of the same 6 books on my For You page, and it's fun, and I needed to slow down my reading without getting sucked in. I used to have strict rules around my TikTok usage, so I would only be scrolling when I was actively moving, so holding a plank or doing sit-ups, or have a balance board that I stand on. That's kind of gone out the window since making these, but I really want to have a healthy relationship with technology, with social media. I've always kind of been wary, so I'm still figuring out where I fit. And I'm so glad that there are so many people who also love nerding out about the same things that I do. I'm excited to go edit. I have a couple more videos that I need to edit. I have the next part. I have Dane's, like, books that I would recommend for Dane, if you love Dane as a favorite Tortall heroine. There's one book on that list that is the whole reason why I made this series. And so I'm super excited about those books. Of course, as soon as I make these videos, I think of 5 or 6 other books that I would also put on this list. And so I might just do another part after I finish all of them. I'll go back and then do a part 2 because people have also been recommending incredible books. And the Discord, we talked a little bit about it on the Discord server too. And so I have Dane's filmed, and then I have a couple more of them mostly written out. And I'm so excited about them because one of my favorite things in the world are connecting people with stories, connecting people with opportunities. And that's why I love being a bookseller so much, was just having conversations with people like, oh, you love this? Then you might, what did you like about that? Oh, then you might love this, this, and this, and this. And they're all things you might not have heard of before. These lives are the highlight of your week right now. They're the highlight of my week too. I so appreciate everyone being on here. I love doing lives. I wish we had more opportunities for people to like speak back. I love being, having like more of that verbal discussion. I'm such a verbal person. When I type things out in the Discord, I feel like I'm jumbling my words constantly. Love the lives, great. I will feel better about perhaps doing more of them because I love the lives too. They're a really low lift on my end, and I love having them. I've been thinking about at least adding one more a week, or I might just do one randomly. I might just show up on live one day and not announce. I'll probably announce to the Discord. But when the mood strikes me, I may just do another live for all things open up to Tamora Pierce. The voice chat parties, that would probably happen if you choose to get in on Discord. I need to. Because the voice chat, I won't lie, I'm a little worried. I'm a little afraid of the voice chat. Just because I have no reference point. The only video game that I play or have ever played is The Sims. To the point where I have a tattoo of it. I have like 25,000 hours logged in my Sims game. But I've never been in a headset talking with people. Yes. So that's a personal thing I need to get over. And I really want to, and I'm really excited about it. You're a bit slow in conversation, so type linking weirdly helps for you. It's all about accessibility. Different people operate in the world differently, and I would love to be able to make it on the Discord and on this live and anywhere else more options and more accessible for people. That's a core part of who I am as a human, a core part of my work that I've done, and so if there are other ideas, I don't want to exclude people just by the very nature of how it's built up. Let's see, it can be super chill, no need to role play. Same voice chat is intimidating. You can delete what you type. Yes, that's true. I forget often that I cannot delete what I say. It's a lesson I have learned in the past and need to keep learning, apparently. Ever been on Microsoft Teams? Oh god, unfortunately. It seems similar to for a couple of minutes when you were on a few days ago. There are absolutely like a Slack, all that sort of things. Microsoft Teams is just very my corporate me is coming out. Discord has text channels attached to every voice chat now. Great! Fantastic. That would make sense. Teams does make me think of work. But I absolutely get that. I saw the similarities, the different channels, how to interact. Also, just everybody here, if you are in different groups, thank moderators. And thank everybody who is making sure that the group is cohesive, that the things are in the right channels, that there's structure, because it's so much work, and the people in ours are incredible. Absolutely incredible. We have such a great group on there. That was a lot about me. I haven't talked a lot about me further. Thank you all for caring, being here. And do we have anything else for book club? I love talking with you all, and these are so much fun. So we'll do next week Shatterglass. I'm so excited about this. We're going to do Shatterglass, and we will discuss if we're just going to do Shatterglass next week or if we're going to split it in the Discord. And I will make videos. I'm going to try to get better about promoting book club. I was doing well for that for a while, but I haven't right now. Modding is an insane amount of work. Yes, you run a fandom server with over 650 plus people. It is so much work. And also, there are just so many moral decisions, too. Like, morally exhausting decisions if you don't have your criteria, if you practice. Like, it's a lot. And so we love everybody who's doing it. It makes all of the difference for the community. If you do that for other communities, you are amazing. Absolutely amazing. Fantastic. Yes, which fandom? So we love fans of all sorts. I think that would be another really interesting discussion and something I've started taking notes on of like, what are the fandom crossovers here? Because there's clearly a Buffy crossover. Like if you like these books, you probably also like Buffy. And there are some other ones that I'm a little curious about. I'm interested what kind of fandom crossover we have. You have this strict rule set and most of the members are pretty much lurkers, so it's not been too crazy. That's fair. That's fair. Any other Dragon Age fans? Ooh, I read one Dragon Age, I think it was book, because there are books around it, too. My brother gave me one Dragon Age book that I read a long time ago, but I haven't played Dragon Age. Mari Bat, but we branch out too. I don't know if I'm familiar with that. It's going to go on the Google list of like, I need to be not need to be in the know, but I'm curious. I'm a curious creature. So that's another good, I'm going to ask the fandom question in the Discord, because I think that's a really good one, a really interesting one of like, what are the different crossovers? Ladybug Batman crossovers, Miraculous Ladybug Batman crossover. Batman was my first word. I have a complicated relationship with Batman, but it holds a special part in my heart. You hyperfixate on those games as much as Tamora Pierce books. Yes! There's a lot of hyperfixation going on for me. I just came out of an arcane hyperfixation, so thankfully this one's always there. My favorite Batman actor it's got to be Christian Bale, only because that was the Batman that was what I wanted from Batman when I was growing up. I was always so dissatisfied with, I didn't want them to be cartoons. I liked that they were dark and gritty, and then I got it at a very formative, I was like preteen, early teens when those movies started coming out, and I think I watched Batman Begins every night for like 2 months straight. You're on the Danny Phantom DC crossover kick at the moment. Ooh, I haven't heard about Danny Phantom in a minute. Arcane, you have a kitty named Jinx. I love Jinx. But to no one's surprise, I really love Vi. Does she remind you of anyone? I absolutely love Arcane. That was a dangerous fixation for a while. You ended up down a rabbit hole in the Batman Danny Phantom crossover, and it's amazing. That makes sense. I have never thought about those two together, but that totally makes sense. One discussion we've had on the Discord, and I would love to continue having, is around if you could take these characters, or like if you took one of these characters, what fandom would they fit in? Or like what world would they fit in? Not necessarily, and I'm thinking vibes. Not necessarily story, but it could fit. So, like, one thing I was thinking about was, like, Kel. I think Kel would do really well in the How to Train Your Dragon universe. I think she would make an awesome dragon rider. I think she would do a great service work. Her character just, like, works there. And so we've been talking in the Discord about where these different characters, if they were in another universe, like where they would fit, where they would thrive and work. And so if you have any thoughts on those, I'd be really curious too. And I think that also talks about like that fandom crossover. So we've talked about Alana in the Buffy universe. I think there are a lot of characters that would fit in the Buffy universe. Just a lot of that has to do with I love Buffy and think about it in depth. But yes, I really would like to make a video because I have so many different ideas and some of them are a little unhinged, and that's okay. That's okay. Let's see. Love both crossovers. Oh, great. Have you read Bus to Nowhere? It's a good mix. To be honest, especially when you think the deeper context of Danny Phantom. It's been a long time since I've been in the Danny Phantom world, but The more I think about it, the more those they work. They absolutely work. No, but it's going on the list. Yes. Kel would be the most steady dragon rider. I agree. I also think her overall vibe works really well in the Viking setting. In the way that she thinks about the stoicism. I think that there are just so many pieces of it. She also not tames, but she gets along with Peach Blossom. That would do very well with a dragon. Her fear, hear me out though. That's the perfect struggle for her to have as a dragon rider. I think that's the perfect struggle for her to have as a dragon rider. I think that's a really good, she still maintains that part about herself. That would be so interesting. Peach Blossom the dragon! I already partially there, in my opinion. Peach Blossom the dragon. So there are a lot of different fandoms that they would all thrive or show up in. I want to read the fanfic too. Anybody want to help on that? And if you haven't, this is my little plug for another hyperfixation fandom that I absolutely love. If you have not watched the Race to Dragon's Edge TV show of How to Train Your Dragon, do it. Do it now. It is so much. It works in the whole universe of the movies. I think it's set between the first and second movie. And there are like 6 seasons, some of the most incredible storylines I've ever seen, some of the best character work I've ever seen. Truly one of the best TV shows I've ever seen in my life is the How to Train Your Dragon Race to Dragon's Edge. So if you have not hopped on that, please do. How scared would Neil be? I don't know if Neil would make a great dragon rider. I don't know what universe. What do we think about him in the Doctor Who universe? Your PDDC started with Addams Family and DC crossover. Ooh. That's on brand. Yes. I could totally see that. Addams Family is that works so well. Seconding the recommendation for Race to Dragon's Edge. Yes, absolutely. It's so good. Neil and Owen in the Whovianverse. That's a really good one. Owen, I think, would make such a great companion. I think he would get into just the right amount of trouble. And I also think he has that moral compass that does very well in that show. But which Doctor? I think that's a good question. I think that's a very good question. I'm not up to date with all of the Doctors, so I don't feel like I have the best knowledge to weigh in on that, but I see him with Peter. I don't remember what number he was, 14? 13, 14? Owen will cause so much shenanigans. The Addams Family is so much fun to play with, though. Yes. The Addams Family. I wonder who would be interesting in the Addams Family. Triss might be an interesting one for the Addams Family. Triss might be an interesting one for the Addams Family when I think about it. But I'm curious if other people have thoughts. You can see Neil and Rory getting along because they add common sense. Absolutely. Absolutely. Rory was one of the people that I immediately thought of when I thought of Neil for this. And he's one of the reasons why I thought of the Whovian universe. Just their vibe works really well. He would play well off Capaldi. I agree, Owen would. You're not up to date on the Doctors. They would love Triss. Yes, I think so. I think they would love Triss too, and I think Triss would love them well. I don't think she would have to pretend with the Addams Family. I think she would just be able to say things like, "I'm going to fry them alive," or the fact that I loved the detail in here of Daja talking about Triss and how she would have to literally go stand in water when she got mad. She would have to literally stand in water, and it would boil, and there would be lightning. I think the Addams Family would love that. They would build her a whole room. It would be a whole thing. You can see Briar in the DC universe with Poison Ivy. Yes. But does he have enough? I think he would really struggle in Gotham. I don't think there's enough greenery in Gotham for him. And so I could see him turning a building into like a greenhouse or really perfecting what Crane had been doing. I could see that for him. But I could really see if he were in Gotham, one of his biggest struggles would be the lack of green plant life. She'd be super sus at first and then settle when she'd realize they're genuine. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think Tris would love it. I also think Poison Ivy would be a different one with Briar. I think it would be really interesting. I think they would have a really good back and forth. Yes, there's some great ones. You still want Dane and Percy Jackson solely to see her interaction with the different gods. I think Dane knows how to take on a god. That we do know. Daja learning the... Oh, that means Skara. Yes. Daja, there are so many places. I want Daja to learn... Not to learn how to forge, but I want her to forge something in the Hellmouth. And then I want that weapon to be used by someone else. But I do. Batman failed to save Rosethorn and Poison Ivy leads him down the revenge path. The fanfic writes itself at that point. That's a good one. He's probably arguing against her methods. Boy, is it... Yes, Briar and Poison Ivy. Could you imagine Rosethorn and Poison Ivy having a disagreement? That would be so interesting. There's so many of those little pockets that I think just would be so interesting. Tamora Pierce just does an incredible job of writing characters that they have not just their own storylines, but she stays so true to their characters and who they are, and they're complex and deep, and they're not just one-hit wonders. That's a scary thought, yes. Daja hopping through different universes, learning different smithing techniques. Yes, I need that. I think she would be a great doctor's companion, too. I think she is a really calm, steady. I think she would learn a lot. I think that would be she would be a really good doctor's companion, too. Ivy would respect the hell out of Rosethorn by the end. I think it's hard to come toe-to-toe with Rosethorn and not come out the other side with a healthy dose of respect for the woman. Sandry stirring things up in Downton Abbey. That's perfect. I had Sandry in Bridgerton, but I think Downton Abbey is a much better fit for her. Ivy did get a redemption arc recently. I need to look into that. I've not been keeping up with the comics on those at all. And I haven't done the recent TV show either. It's on my list. Yeah, Sandry would thrive in Downton Abbey. I think Allie might do better. Yeah, Sandry would thrive in Downton Abbey. I think Allie might do better in Bridgerton. There's a modern, not cynicism, but like, there's more of not deeper treachery, just different treachery. I think a younger, more in-your-face treachery and spy work that Allie would do very well with, while Sandry does very well with that, like, nobility, navigating nobility and the societal standards of the time, whereas Allie does a really great job of destroying them. Fantastic. This has been so much fun. I love having these hypothetical conversations. Again, we have had some of this conversation in the Discord. Always happy to continue it. There's so many big questions that come up. So if you have other questions, you're part of the Discord, please throw them in the chat. We have so many different places. If there's a particular channel it fits best in, do it there. But if not, throw it in the general chat. We'd all love to chime in. It's a really great place. Any last things? I know I've said this so many times now, but we keep having a great discussion. So we've gone almost a whole hour longer than we usually do. Which is fun. I love it. But I know people have lives. So thank you again for popping the Discord link in the chat. Any last things for today before I'm gonna hop on the Discord. We'll definitely be doing this again next week, but I will let people know if we end up adding live or what the deal is. So be on the lookout. If you don't follow, pop on over and follow so you make sure you get the videos. Join the Discord. We love those. Labs, what are those? Thanks for hosting, Miss Frizzle. You are so welcome. Oh, yes, it is time for food. Make sure you nourish yourself. And I will see you on the Discord. This was so much fun. Have a great week, y'all. I'll see y'all soon. Drink water!